Hello, everyone. My name is Liz. Welcome, especially if you are new around here. If you're not, welcome back. I could not be more excited to bring you this series of live streams. We are on live stream 4 out of 5. And if you don't know what's going on, this is a little bit of a series where we are bringing you free, incredible advice from industry experts on topics that are going to be deeply useful to you on your e-commerce journey. So, without further ado, today we have Raminta, who is going to be teaching you all about creating an amazing marketing strategy for your e-commerce business. Hello, Raminta.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me, Printful and Liz.
Yeah, and before we begin today's workshop, I will just pause you guys for a second to tell you all about a great opportunity that you have. So, in the description of this video, and also later on in the actual feed, you're going to see a QR code or a link to a giveaway. It is literally just a Google form where we ask you for your name and your email. We're not going to use it for anything else. It's just for this giveaway. And you will have the opportunity to win one of 3 $50 Printful coupons. That is completely just free money. You get it. You can use it. But you can only do that while this live stream is live. So throughout this entire workshop, go into the form and sign up. And at the very, very end, we're going to pick 3 lucky winners, and we are going to contact you if you win. So without any of my rambling, let's get on into the actual amazing content. So Raminta, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm going to be talking about e-commerce marketing strategy for 2025. So who am I? I'm Raminta 𝗃𝗶𝗃𝗀𝗆, founder of WFMA agency, where we help e-commerce brands build impactful strategies online. My background is in fashion marketing, so my journey started in London many years ago now, doing fashion marketing and e-commerce for premium and luxury fashion brands. And then I moved on to creating WFMA agency in 2017. So first things first, why do you need a marketing strategy? In the sea of marketing tactics, get rich quick schemes and all the noise out there in the online world, marketing strategy helps you to align your efforts, focus your actions, and maximize your impact online. So without a marketing strategy, you're essentially throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that it sticks. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it does stick, but then you do not know what and why and how to repeat it, which doesn't create an actionable strategy going forward. So this is the main purpose of a marketing strategy. And where do you start when creating one? So first things first is knowing your customer. This is really the key of any strategy, is understanding your customer really well and going beyond simple demographics like age and location into interests, lifestyle, values, goals, desires, really trying to understand that customer and the problems that they face and how your product could solve those problems or maybe fulfill their desires.
This
So
is so real, especially to everyone who is sitting here and being like, I want to sell to everyone. Everyone's going to be my customer. Every type of person. Why do I have to narrow this down? But realistically, you can't do everything for every single person and make it known to every single human being in the world. So you have to kind of focus your efforts on a very specific message.
absolutely. And don't get me wrong, you might be going for mass market, but even then you need to segment your customers into different personas so you can speak to people in a way that resonates to them, because only then will they be interested in buying from you as a brand. So this is an example, just to show you the how understanding the customer should influence really anything that you do in your business, from marketing strategy to your brand identity, product design, distribution, customer service, and business strategy. So really understanding that customer then helps to inform all these different areas of your business that center around your customer and make sure that it delivers the value to the customer. This is an example of a customer persona. We did this for a B2B client, but just to show you the level of detail you should be going into when creating one. So starting with things like the persona name, job title, age, gender, location, education, experience in the field, company size. This is more relevant for B2B, industry and role. But then going deeper into their goals and challenges, their needs, behaviors, interests, personal characteristics, communication preferences, and other areas that might make sense for your brand and your product. So really, really picturing that person. It helps to have an image as well, just to sort of have a better visualization of your target persona. And then with anything that you do, you go back to your persona and think about them and think if what you're doing serves them. So once you have your customer persona built up, you can start building your brand identity. And the most important things when building brand identity is not just a logo, it's not just looking good, it's really creating a consistent story that starts from your visuals, that goes into your product and into your marketing and translates from your website to your social channels and other marketing channels, and really finding something authentic about your brand and about yourself, why you started the brand in the industry that you did, that can really resonate with your audience and just help them understand why they should be choosing your brand and not your competitors.
Exactly, right? Because I always consider, when I think of like logos and brand names or specific colors, I consider those things like anchors in a way, where somebody is looking at your brand all over, and those are going to be the things that might stick in their head, like, oh, this brand had this like specific symbol in their logo or whatever, but that isn't the brand, right? That specific symbol or that specific color or the word that might like give people an idea of what your brand's all about is not how your brand is going to be perceived. It's not the energy that is created when somebody thinks of your brand, is not the value that you provide to people, right? And people get so stuck on this like visual identity and don't really think about anything else.
Absolutely. If the visual identity is not based on anything, it may be the same as your competitors as well. You know, I had this recent experience when I was looking for a surf camp, and I visited many beautiful websites of different surf camps in Morocco, and they all looked very pretty, but they also all looked kind of the same. And it was really hard to pick one that I actually resonated with until I came across the camp that I picked in the end, which was a family-based business. And I liked their story. I liked the fact that they're a family business, and I chose that particular camp. But it wasn't just about the visuals. It was about the story that was being reinforced across their website, across their social. And then also when I emailed them to ask them about details of the camp and schedule and things like that. So it just shows the importance of the continuity there as well. So now that you have your brand, you can start creating the content that converts. So a lot of brands have this misconception, especially when they're starting, that someone's going to land on their website, see their product, and be so excited to buy it right away. Unfortunately, it does not happen all the time. As I'm sure a lot of you already noticed, it's not enough for someone to visit your website once to be able to convert. So looking at the market, we usually have 3% of people that are ready to buy now, 17% information searching, 20% that are just problem aware, but they're not yet looking for information, and 60% are not even problem aware. So in order to target these different life cycle stages of a customer, we need to use different content. So from product showcases for someone who's not yet aware of their problem or not yet aware of your product, to behind the scenes content that shows more of a glimpse into your brand story, your process, why you are who you are, and customer reviews that share authentic feedback from other customers that help people feel better about their purchase that they're thinking about making. So this really helps to move that customer from the top of the funnel to the bottom into the buying now stage, creating that content and thinking about different customers and different life cycle stages when you do. Now that you created the content that will convert your customers, you need to start capturing your leads. So let's say your main channel for marketing is social media. I really would suggest then creating an email marketing channel as well to capture those social leads into your list, because once the algorithm changes, you might lose your reach or your engagement on social, but your email list is always with you. You can always email your customers and tell them all about your amazing products. So to capture the leads, you need an opt-in page, which is basically an email form with a field to enter your email and name. You can use other fields as well, but keep in mind, the more you have, the less people will convert, because it's a bigger input. So I suggest you keep it simple and very straight to the point. Have a beautiful visual, a capturing headline, a short description on how your content will help your customer, and then present an irresistible offer for your audience. So now that you know your customer, think about what is market striving for, not what I would like to buy, and then create that offer around what your customer is interesting, what they're looking for, what is needed in the market. Think about what you're selling, how much it costs, who will make the immediate action on this offer, and how do you claim it. And finally, use value marketing, meaning give something before you ask for an action from your customer. So drive with a value. That in e-commerce, a lot of the time is a coupon or a discount for the first order, but you could also use a quiz, a video, or other valuable resources to get those subscriptions in. And then once you have your opt-in page, you need to start getting traffic onto that page. So if you're starting on a small budget, I recommend you start with social, email marketing, SEO. These are your organic channels where you don't need to be spending money on the ads. So I suggest you start here before moving into your paid strategies and spending your money on the advertising.
And this is actually, just to like harp on the point a little bit, I hear and see a lot of people who are just like, oh, email marketing, that is so old fashioned. Who checks their email anymore? No, like, just please, if you can, take advantage of that as a channel. That is a spot where you are going to reach someone who is in your channel. This is not a place where you have to rely on an algorithm. This is not like a story where it's going to disappear in 24 hours. It's a spot where somebody subscribed for whatever reason they did, and they're looking for information from you. Don't discount that just because like email is not cool or trendy.
Exactly. And I mean, we're all working, and probably more than ever these days. And where do I spend most of my day is definitely in my inbox. And also there's another point to that, is that, you know, people who are in your list, they have given you their details already, which is a big investment. They're showing you their trust. They are wanting to hear from you. So now you can convert your traffic to sales. And that's when we use email, because as I said, not all of your traffic will convert right away, not at all. So you need to put a system in place that makes sure that you are converting these leads in your subscription base, and they're becoming your customers. So this is how it could look for an e-commerce, starting with an opt-in page with a high value offer. We want our customers to convert and subscribe. Then we would show them either a product page or landing page with our irresistible welcome offers. So again, that could be a discount, it could be a gift with purchase, it could be something else. Then if someone takes the offer, we remove them from the email sequence. And if they don't, then we start a nurture flow. Nurture flow basically ensures that whoever is on our mailing list, but they haven't purchased yet, will receive some sort of information to help them to make that purchase, make that decision to buy. So as an example of a nurture flow, we have 3 emails in the flow. The first one would be sent after, let's say, 30 days from when someone subscribed. We notice they subscribed, but they haven't bought yet. We will be sending them user-generated content of other customers wearing your product, using your product. It can be videos or images, and we would combine that with a dynamic product feed of products that the customer may also be interested in seeing. Then we would wait for, let's say, 7 days. And then if they still don't convert, we would send them an email too with a little bit of behind the scenes content, why our brand is doing things and in the way that we do, what's special about us, and other brand stories that we want to bring out. Again, combine it with a dynamic product feed. So there's that product in there as well, not only the brand story. And then again, we would wait for 7 days, see if they convert or not. And if they don't, we send them a third email with, it could be an extra discount code, works really well, a limited time offer. You can add a timer in there. It also tends to convert customers really well. And again, using that dynamic product feed and customer reviews really, really helps here.
And
so this is
just like a quick note, because this is something that I hear as a question or like as a complaint sometimes. The idea of the irresistible offer in the first place, some people are very hesitant because they don't want to eat into their margins. They don't want to be giving deals and discount codes just to like anybody before they've even purchased anything. Like as a story, this is actually something that like I remember distinctly got me to purchase, like that was like the click for me, was a brand was offering free like downloadable, really, really pretty phone wallpapers. This was like a few years ago, but I distinctly remember that moment of being like, ooh, wait, that is pretty. And all I have to do is just like put my email in there, and then they're going to send it to me over email in high quality, and I can just download them and use them. That cost the brand nothing. But they got my email, and I still get emails from them, and it's been like 5 years at this point.
Exactly. So it just shows how important it is to give the value before you actually ask for something back. Because then your customer really can trust you more. They see what kind of value you can deliver for them, and then they're so much more likely to buy from you. So this is a good example of a product page. This is Glossier, and I think they do it really, really well. So in e-commerce, a lot of the time, instead of a landing page to send traffic to, you would use the product pages because that's much closer to your actual conversion. And so your product page kind of has to act like a landing page. It has to have all the information that someone may need to be able to convert and buy the product. So just to dissect the Glossier a little bit more, here we can see they have beautiful brand imagery. That's probably the first thing that comes to my eye. And then we have customer reviews right here at the top, just after the title, which shows the summary of the reviews. At the bottom of their page, they also have a more extended reviews view with all of the reviews that they received for this product. We have different sections of information which you can or you don't have to read, but if you want, it's there. Clinical studies, ingredients, how to use, everything's paired with beautiful imagery. The imagery shows how to use the product, as well as the texture, as well as it being applied on different skin tones. So it really gives you a lot of different angles into that product already. And then they also have more imagery in here with like different angles from, this is a user generated content as well. So it really just shows how other people are using it. And then the customer reviews. And finally, here you can't see it, but they have a dynamic product block as well. So these are the sort of key elements to have on your product page. Obviously, depending on your product, these may be a little bit different, but this is a great example of what a good product page should look like.
And this kind of, like, to translate this example to something that could be like, I don't know, apparel or something that like doesn't have this fantastic, beautiful looking thing where you're putting it directly on the skin. Something that is very appreciated generally by people are close-up shots and detail shots. Even
Absolutely.
for mock-ups, like I know we do this for quite a few of our products where we specifically like take pictures of products super closely so that people can see the texture, people can see the thickness of material, the quality of the print, etc. Seeing more detailed and more attractive looking photos is going to make your brand a lot more trustworthy, and it is very possible even with mock-up images.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say don't go too conceptual on the product page. It's
Yeah.
great if you have like lifestyle looking imagery that's beautiful and maybe doesn't show that detail that well, but you have to have the e-commerce product imagery that focuses on the product and the product only as well. I think ASOS did this, and I don't know if they're still doing that, where they went really, really conceptual with their images to the point where you can't even see the product properly, and that pisses me off a lot. So for e-commerce, it's great to have the story and the lifestyle shots in there as well, but have the product images and really make sure that they're very clear as well. And the final step in the 7-step process is to automate and grow. So automating your customer journey by setting up your automated email flows, make sure that you're targeting your customers at different buying stages when they do a certain action on your site. That doesn't require you sending an email campaign every single time. You can set these automations up once, and then they, based on the triggers that they're based on, they will be sending to customers when they make these actions. So some of the most important flows for e-commerce I've included here. A welcome flow is for someone who subscribed just now. We usually send them some sort of offer to make them into buyers. Abandon cart is for those who have put something in their cart, but they haven't purchased it yet. So we send a reminder saying, hey, your product is in cart. Don't forget to check out. Abandoned browse is one level further from that. So it's for someone who has seen the product maybe more than one time, but they've never put it in the cart or they haven't purchased it either. So this really helps if you use more content to introduce your product in a little bit more detail, send more, again, beautiful product shots, any lifestyle kind of imagery, depending what your brand is all about. And then we have nurture. So nurture, I've shown you in a few steps before. This is a flow that we send to those who have subscribed, but they haven't purchased yet, for a longer amount of time that we know our customers usually purchase from the time they subscribe. And then upsell flow is to send to those who have purchased to help them make that second purchase. So maybe products that people buy together could be sent. We could send a discount code. We could send different collection that they may be interested in and similar. And the reviews flow is just to ask for reviews from your customers that have already bought from you, so they can share their feedback with you, and you can use it as well in your marketing, in your customer service messages, and so on. And finally, before I leave you with the question, I leave you with the questions, because I wanted to look at the importance of the unit economics. So before you really start investing into your ads, I recommend that you really nail down these 3 metrics that are the most important metrics in your e-commerce marketing strategy. So first of all, it's the cost per lead. This is what it costs you to get one person to subscribe to your email list. So this could be calculated by dividing your advertising costs or marketing costs, dividing them by the amount of subscribers you received, and that will give you your cost per lead. Cost per acquisition is how much it costs you to acquire one customer. So it's the same formula, but you're looking at the conversions, meaning purchases, and then you divide them by the amount of you divide the advertising spend or the marketing spend by the amount of buyers that you got. And the final, but the very important metric as well, is your lifetime value. So this is the projected net profit that customer will generate while they're spending money with you as a business. So the easiest way to calculate it, and this is not, I mean, you can really do some really deep research into that, but the easy and quick formula to calculate this would be to take your yearly revenue, calculate a profit, and then divide it by the amount of customers that you had that year to get customer lifetime value. And then you can scale up. So I recommend, if you're starting on a small budget, or if you're a solopreneur, or if you're a small brand just testing the waters, definitely start small and then scale up. So I would start with organic marketing first, and then move into building my email flows, retargeting ads, which are the ones that are reaching out to customers who have shown the interest in your products already, not the cold audience. And then finally, I would go and spend some money on paid ads, probably in paid social if I'm a fashion brand. If I'm selling something else, Google ads might be better channel, but usually for products that have a visual appeal, social ads work better because of the visuals that we can use there. And that was all for me today. Do you have any questions?
Indeed, we do. I'm gonna like jump around a little bit so that we can kind of like talk about the things that we talked about last, especially the more like technical questions and then more overall ones. So one that was, I think this is going to be like super important to talk about some of the more technical aspects, is how do I get the emails for my mailing list?
So yeah, so there's a lot of ways to go about it. I think depending on the channels that you're using, if you're starting on social, for example, I would create a regular post once a week, once a month, whatever that is for you, asking people to subscribe to your list, presenting the value in subscribing to your marketing list. So for example, subscribe for 10% off, or subscribe for, I don't know, to be the first to know about our new exclusive collections, early drops, any sort of message that would help your customer to really understand the value of your marketing list. If you're spending on ads, you could be creating a leads ad, which is basically doing the same thing, but then you're going after the audience that you define in your ads. So you know that, I don't know, let's say beauty sector is the one for me, and I'm going to be showing ads to the sector only, and I'm going to be asking them to leave their details. So I give them something in return again. So that being a discount or another offer. Just a couple of ways really, but you can go creative with that, and think of any other ways that you could do that. If you have retail shops, you can get your customers' details in retail as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many, just in practice, there's so many tools and ways to go about it technically. Like if you want a very specific tool, I genuinely suggest just doing a bit of your own research. Google email marketing tool, or like free email marketing tools and stuff like that. Look at what people are saying in your specific niche, or consider what platform/marketplace you're selling on. I'm sure there are a variety of plugins across different platforms. I don't know, like look up Shopify email list plugin, that kind of thing, if you're using Shopify. If you're super, super small, you're just starting out, you could do a Google form, genuinely. Like, or you could do an Instagram story using the like little question thing where people can input their stuff. There are so many ways to go about it depending on what you're doing and where you're selling, that the main question that you need to answer is, what are you going to give these customers in return for their email address, rather than what is going to be the technical setup. Technical setup is not going to be super complicated, especially if you're a beginner.
Absolutely. And not with the platforms like Shopify and some of the tools that we have today to really be able to quickly plug and play and get these things going. For Shopify, I've got a lot of clients using Omnisend and Klaviyo. I think for e-commerce, these are the platforms that I'm seeing the most. But it will depend on your budget and your needs on what you decide to go for. There's really so many tools to choose from.
It's a very competitive market, yeah. Okay, speaking of emails, there's another one that is kind of related to what you just said. Is there a platform for email marketing that's super easy to use? What's your favorite?
My favorite today is Omnisend. A few months ago, I would have said @ค์_배우𝗴 because I do think they have like better product feeds for e-commerce specifically. You can really set things up to show different products to your customers and so on. But they keep doing price changes and they keep climbing up their price. So I say Omnisend for the affordability and the features for e-commerce specifically as well. And they're doing a lot of updates right now as well. So I know a lot of great stuff is coming.
Okay, perfect. So you guys can look that up and go ahead and like consider, okay, is this worth investing for me right now at this stage of my business? And if yes, what am I going to do about it and how am I going to set it up? Okay, let's see. Is there anything else with email? Not super particular. So let's just go in order after this. I love that there's so many questions that are specifically like taking the advice directly on board and being like, okay, I want to do this. How do I do this well?
Love that.
So we have, what's your advice on balancing visuals to draw my buyer's attention versus providing meaningful content on the store page to tell the purpose of my brand? There's two different things here. How do you balance?
Yeah, I think you definitely need both, but I wouldn't go too deep in the story on the product pages. Visuals definitely will lead the way, especially in the industries like fashion, where everything is very visual. So the most important thing is to see the product, but then I would have that story weaving in, in other places of your website. So if someone wants to go and read your about page, your blog, or anything like that, that's where that should reinstate their understanding of their brand and reinstate that story that you're telling. Same with I think with marketing channels as well. It's good to balance a little bit of story with the product, even though the product should be driving your marketing in the e-commerce. You still need that brand story as well to make sure that you're engaging maybe more customers at the top funnel level that still don't know your brand. They don't know anything about you. They're thinking, why should I be interested? Because those that are closer to the buying stage, they will be more interested about the product itself rather than knowing the brand story. But in the initial stages, the brand story is very important. So a fine balance of that. On product pages, concentrate on your product, but on the website, the rest of the website, really nail that brand story, and visuals and consistency across the channels as well.
And it's also like important not to look at those two things as competing necessarily. Like both are part of your brand. Like think your product names or your product descriptions or maybe some of your designs are going to play into how your brand is telling its story. And it's especially with something so like creative and fairly free, like I don't know, the descriptions and the little blurbs that you send people. Let's say after they make a purchase, there's going to be like a thank you email or a message or something, or like a little pop-up that appears. You could do even there in these small little details. That to me is where brands shine super well and where you feel like you're interacting with something with a personality rather than like a faceless website.
Exactly. It's about the words that you pick. It doesn't have to be all literal, but what you're saying and what you're showing should still make sense together and say the same things without even saying them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then there's another question. Do you find that originally created content versus automated and generated content gains more traffic and interest?
I think you can do both well. I'm definitely an advocate of all the new tools and all the AI that we have access to these days. I think you should be using that. But unless you nail down your customer, unless you nail down your brand story, and unless you nail down your brand strategy, if you're going to be trying to generate content without knowing these things, the content's not going to be good. In the same way, if you'll be trying to create content without knowing your customer manually, not using these tools, it will still not be good because it will not resonate. So I definitely advocate to use the tools that are there because other brands are using them. And if you don't, you will stay behind and the competition will eat you up. But also don't leave it up to the tools to decide your brand story and your persona. And also I would use it more in the initial stages of brainstorming, getting ideas. Really, sometimes it gives you different angles to the problems that you wouldn't think about, but then really perfecting and writing that story and editing it yourself to make sure that it really, really fits your brand image, your tone of voice, what you're trying to communicate, and stuff like that.
And that is such a good point, because before you even get into the tools and start using them, you have to figure out what is good. Like, what is your bar for this is good content? I don't have to like edit it anymore. Because if you just start going like, oh, I am, let's say, a funny t-shirt brand, please write a product description for me. If you have no idea who your customer is and what they find funny, you're not going to be sure if what the automated AI, generative AI tool created is going to be good or not, or if it's going to work. So figure out what's good first before jumping into tools right away.
Absolutely. And I think funny for AI at this stage would be very lame funny and probably not that funny at all. So really, yeah, just shows the importance of defining what is funny for you and your customer again.
Yeah, and unless it's some really bad puns, I don't think you're gonna get very good jokes from AI. But maybe you do. Maybe you do. Maybe you're better at using AI than I am. Okay, this is actually like interesting. What are some brands that you look up to catch new potential trends for marketing strategies?
Um, I think I don't know if there's such thing as trend for marketing strategy. I think it is pretty set in that what you need to define in the initial stages. You've got more trends when it comes to your marketing tactics. But I think of @cken when I think of marketing done well these days, because they just do such a beautiful thing with their campaigns. Every single thing, like every single campaign has a new theme or topic, a new crazy idea that they're exploring. And I think that is the marketing at its best, where they're telling their story. Everyone understands exactly what they're all about and, what kind of brand they are. And they are wanting to join that brand. And I think, yeah, the things that they're doing, also blending the physical retail with the online, I think that's great. If you have the physical retail stores using them as an experience for your customers, I think that's amazing. So that's probably the one that really comes to mind to me these days.
Yeah, and for those who checked out immediately, like, oh, physical retail, this is not for me. I'm an e-commerce. Don't do that, because there are so many of these like smaller opportunities to be able to showcase your brand in real life. I don't know, like go to like a more small pop-up store kind of
Exactly.
spot, like a little like marketplace locally where you can kind of like set up shop, get a few samples of each product, allow people to order more online. Like, that is so possible and so accessible, but it doesn't feel like you should be doing that, quote unquote, as an e-commerce brand. But people really underestimate the power of A, word of mouth, and B, the legitimacy that having a physical retail space, even short term lets you.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great way for someone to experience your product, especially if it's clothing or something else. And that's funny that you say that, because that's what we started with when we started WFMA. We were doing
Oh,
pop-ups in London before we started doing the digital services. So yeah, really, and it's a really great experience. And it really showed me the importance of meeting your customer in real life and really
right.
understanding what it is that they're looking for, because online it's not that easy to get that feedback, but when you're selling your product in person, it's a really good way to see if there's a product market fit. If people are interested, if they're asking questions, then maybe you can do more of that. And if some products are not being picked up as much, maybe something's not working, then you can ask people what it is that you like and you don't like. So it's a great way to get feedback as well and just test your market, especially in the initial stages, I think.
Yes, market research. That is honestly like, if I could drill one thing into people's heads, is that like that is the one thing that you can never neglect. Like, you can never know too much about your customer.
And you'd be surprised how many brands do neglect it and think that strategy is something that you need to do after 10 years in the business. And that's just not the way to go.
Yes, yes. Customer personas are not created in like boardrooms and people's heads. They're created in talking to the people.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Hello there. When building a product page instead of a landing page, do you put lead generation in the product page?
Yeah, so you usually would have your either you'd have your email pop-up that says, "Hey, subscribe, and we'll give you this offer," or you'd have both the pop-up and also the email form below. Once you scroll down the page, when you design your website, you usually also put your email subscribe box in the footer, which means that it then appears on all of your pages. So yes, product page should include your lead form as well. Just because of the same reason, not everyone will be ready to convert right there and there then, so you need to give them another opportunity to give you a little bit of an investment, meaning their name and their email, so you can give them something back and you can start building that customer relationship.
Yeah, and you can also consider how intrusive you want to be with it. So having something at the footer is not really going to interrupt the flow of the person. But if you really want people to like give you their emails, it might be worth it to put on like a pop-up that appears like 10 seconds after someone opens a page, you know?
Absolutely. A lot of people, a lot of brands, when they come to me and we talk about email marketing, they say, "Oh, I hate pop-ups. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them." But then everyone still leaves their email in a pop-up. So even though we say that, we don't like them, it's too much, we have to think about it from the way that if it is in front of someone, it has much higher likelihood of converting that person as well. Whereas if you've got something in your footer, not everyone might even scroll down to that. So don't be afraid to test things out as well. You can test things on a lot of email platforms, like put your time delays, or you can test some a pop-up that appears 10 seconds after someone lands on a page versus if they scroll for 50% of the page, and different setups like that. And you'll be surprised. Usually the sooner and the more obvious, the better.
Yeah, and
Even
it's
though
it's
a
also
lot of
all about
people,
the offer, right? Like it depends on what you give them for that information.
absolutely, a bad offer will not convert even if it pops up in front of you 100 times in a row. That would be very frustrating, actually.
Yeah, this it's probably where it comes from, like that hate for pop-ups is just because, people don't see it as worth it usually. All right. Oh, we're getting more and more questions. So, what is the best way to entice influencers to want to promote your brand?
So I'm not a big influencer expert, but I have dealt with them quite a bit, especially in fashion. Celebrities, PR influencers is all kind of the same thing. It's getting an opinion, someone who forms an opinion to show your product to their audience, which then allows you to sell much easier because they have that audience that is already really loyal and interested in what they have to show. So when it comes to selecting your influencers, I think things can get expensive really quickly if you go for the big guys. But what I would really recommend doing is rather finding some micro influencers. So the small influencers that might not have a massive following, but they have a loyal base, and talk to them. And the most important thing here as well will be your brand fit. If it's a natural fit for someone, they will promote it and naturally their audience will love it as well. Whereas if it's not a good fit for a certain influencer, it's going to look and feel awkward. No one's going to believe it and no one's going to buy it. So your best bet is to look for people that you really feel stand for your brand values and contact them. And there's a good chance that they will actually love to promote your product because, again, it is within their values, within what they like to talk about and things like that. So go for the quality and not quantity, I would say.
Yeah, and make sure to tell them that, the reason why you're contacting them. You'd be surprised how many people who like own these small brands, and they contact like mass send a bunch of identical DMs to a bunch of influencers. Hey, I love your vibe, or I love your feed, something like that. That does not instill trust at all. There's no reason why that person should work with you. Tell them exactly what you like about them, why you think they're a good fit for you, which post or which message or which thing that they did that you really enjoy, or the thing that you found like funny or smart or you agreed with. That immediately, like if the question is like how do you entice people, you talk to people as people, right?
And again, do your research. And no one likes the the messages that you receive from everyone where you know exactly what they're going to say and how they're going to say it. It's because they're all templated and they're not personalized. But if you just do a few bits of research, and you can add specific details about what you like about that specific person that you're talking to, it's going to make all the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Especially as like a smaller brand, because you have the ability and you have the resource to be able to like contact people more from a human perspective rather than, oh, I'm this brand that is reaching out to you.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, there's a question on your thoughts on using automated chat, i.e. ManyChat, MobileMonkey, Chatfuel, etc. Several of our clients have found success, but I encourage them to not allow automation to ruin their or run their brand voice.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'm all up for AI chats as long as it's not the only way to contact someone. Once you get stuck in that loop of trying to chat to AI and AI not giving you the right answer and not being able to just chat to a human, that can get really, really frustrating. So that should definitely be your first it could be your first contact. But then if there is an issue that needs solved, you need to have a human support as well. And then again, for training your chatbot, it's the same thing as creating some content with the help of AI. If you have your customer persona and your brand strategy nailed down, you upload those documents as a reference, and you're going to get a much better output, the one that aligns much more with your brand values, your tone of voice, the way that you speak. So training that model up is something that you should be doing as well. I think a lot of brands are just checking it in there without personalizing it, and then it's not really doing the job. But why would it if we haven't really spent time to really customize it for our customer, to our brand, to the questions that our customers we know are asking us? So yeah, I think again, it's a great starting point, and I think customer service is key, especially online, where again, person cannot see the product in the physical way. They can't touch them, they can't feel them. It's very important to have that customer support ready to answer the questions that someone might have, and then also using those questions that someone else asked and putting them as resources. If someone asks a question, it's very highly likely that another customer will also have that same question, and why not answer it in advance and save yourself an extra phone call or an email or whatever that may be.
And you also kind of need to evaluate the different potential situations and questions and what kind of risks, I guess, they carry. So, like, don't maybe put an AI chatbot in charge of like very angry, escalated customer like concerns, but maybe use that rather for like questions or help with navigation or picking the right product, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah, we also have another very specific question. How often should I do a blog for my website to bring in potential customers? Weekly? Monthly? Daily?
How many ideas do you have? SEO is something that you have to keep in mind will take time to build up. So especially when your site is just fresh, you have not that much content, you don't have that many trust signals, meaning you don't have many links from other websites leading to your website. It will take time to build that content up in the initial stages. So from the day when you start writing your blogs, if you're going to do daily, you're going to build that up quicker. If you're going to do monthly, it's going to take you longer. But keep in mind that it will take time anyway. So give SEO at least like 6 months to start seeing the impact, but also it's not something that you can just do once. So I say pick a rhythm that works for you and will work for you long term, because if you do daily for the first month and then you don't do anything else ever after, that's not good. So I would just say do what you can do with the resources that you have, but make sure that it's a rhythm that you can do for a long time, because SEO will take a lot longer time to kick in, and you need to keep it coming. You need to keep optimizing, you need to keep writing. Yeah.
Yeah, because like search engines are smarter than we all think. They're able to recognize when you wrote something and how often your website is updated. It recognizes a lot of these additional signs, not just the specific terms that it's looking for. So being able to create content consistently is something that's very underappreciated and underserved as a need with SEO.
Especially in e-commerce, I think a lot of people stop with the product descriptions, and that is the problem of e-commerce with SEO. Our product pages don't have that much content on them. They can't be the only juice for the SEO, because that's not enough. We need more content on our site to be able for search engines to really pick it up and feature it in the top results.
Yeah, and people also don't really, especially if they run a business that is like completely online, think like print on demand and stuff. Very often I hear like, oh, what am I even going to write about? Like, I'm not even, packing orders myself. Like, how am I going to bring it up? And I feel like that is a perfect opportunity for brand building and for the identity of your business, because you are running a legitimate business even if you're not literally sewing together the clothes or like sticking together whatever the mugs or the tumblers that you're selling or anything. And you can talk about the design process or the design inspiration, or you can talk about the ideas behind like your business or maybe causes that you're promoting, etc. That is going to serve two purposes. It's going to help your SEO and it's going to help you build your brand.
Exactly. You can talk about your collections. What's the inspiration behind it? Why are you doing it? Like there's a lot of things. That's why you need to think about the customer and think about the brand, because once you've got those, a lot of opportunities for content open, but only once you understand what are the main, points for the customer, for the brand, and then for the story that we're trying to tell.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I have like just one or two more questions. So a reminder to people, you have maybe a couple more minutes to just go and sign up in the link below, the very first link in the description, because in just a couple of minutes, we're going to be picking 3 lucky winners who are going to get $50 each in Printful coupons. But before we get there, y'all go and you go sign up. But we also have a very, very specific question, actually, directly. Does WFMA also help German customers with their Shopify? Because we have a bunch of rules and laws here. Also, this kind of pertains to the design of the shop as well.
Yeah, so we do help some of our customers to design their Shopify websites and launch them and create a strategy for the launch. I know German market is quite specific in terms of how it works as well, comparing to European markets. It is a little bit different. And obviously every single market will have their own regulations. So we don't specifically help our customers with like legal and regulations. We usually have a legal team that helps with that. So they know exactly, the market and what the specific regulations are. But in terms of designing and building Shopify websites and building strategies to launch, we help clients from different parts of the world. Our key markets are probably the UK and Europe, but we've worked across different markets from the States to Canada to South Africa and different places. So yeah, not specifically on German regulations, but overall with e-commerce and marketing strategies, we can definitely help.
Okay, and we have one more last question. What is the best strategy for marketing for a pop-up location event if you don't have a large email list or following?
Oh, pop-up location. I would probably do ads, but just for that location specifically, if it's
Mm,
something where people wouldn't travel, or even if they would, because it's a location-based event, they probably won't travel. I probably wouldn't fly from Vilnius to London for a pop-up event or something. But if it was in my neighborhood, I would definitely pop by. So I'd probably do location ads with distance set around where the event is actually happening, and then I would promote it to those people. You could even do a mail drop. You could literally go around the area and drop, I don't know, flyers into people's mail. This is not digital at all, but it does work.
yeah, because like if you are very, very specific and targeted with your area, it's not going to be as expensive as a gigantic ad campaign across like cities and cities and cities. And especially like depending on where you're holding that like kind of pop-up event, there's also this is something I've literally done myself personally. You don't just have to drop like flyers at apartment buildings or like near people's houses, but usually you would hold a pop-up maybe not in a residential area but somewhere that has like cafes, for example, where you can talk to them. You can be like, hey, can I please leave these flyers here or put up this poster here, etc. So like think of like community spaces as well that are accessible. Not very digital marketing advice, but still, if the question is about like physical pop-ups, still might be helpful.
Still works for sure, especially for event. Even during the event, handing out flyers in the street, it's crazy how people wouldn't sometimes look, but if you invite them, they actually come.
Yeah, because it
So
feels so personal, right? Somebody just came up to me and invited me to a little thing that's right there. How convenient, yeah.
exactly.
Okay, that was all of the questions, and I love these questions. By the way, very specific and seem very motivated. So I'm super happy to see people actually getting ready to do stuff. But we
I'm very
have
excited for all of those who are getting ready to launch their
yes,
stores or kick off their strategies.
and to help some people start doing that, we have three very, very lucky winners. So remember, if you hear your name, we're going to reach out to you after this live stream. But the very, very first winner is Rhea or Rhea, RHEA. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. Then the next winner is Sandra or Sandra. I don't know. Could be anything. And the last winner is Johannes or Johannes. I am terrible at pronouncing names today, apparently. I have no idea which one it is. But if you heard your name or a version of your name, I guess, look out at your inbox. We're going to reach out to you. And in the meantime, I'm super, super grateful to you, Raminta, for joining us today. This was super useful and super like detailed, right? Like very specific and actionable advice that I feel like is great for this audience.
Thank you so much, Liz, for having me. And thanks everyone who joined. And if you have any other questions, you can always reach me on my email, website, or I'm usually active on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who was watching. I wish you huge good luck to make sure that your business reaches new heights this year. Thank you, and I'll see you next
Thanks,
week.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.